Today we will talk about special sense eyes and its external structure. The eyes are one of the special senses. The eyes are the sense organs for sight, allowing people to see colors, shapes, and movements in the world around them. Its primary function is to gather and focus light to create an image, which is then converted into electrical signals that the brain interprets as sight. The eye includes numerous components, such as the lens, iris, pupil, and retina, to process visual information. Imagine the moment you watching TV with your favorite snacks and coffee, and imagine the moment when suddenly the power goes off at night because of thunderstorms, and we are so scared because we can't see anything. We can't see in the dark because vision requires light to be reflected off objects and enter your eyes. In the absence of light, there is nothing to reflect, so there is no visual information for our eyes and brain to process. For us to see an object, light must hit it first. Then, the light bounces off the object and travels to your eyes. This reflected light enters our eye and focuses on the retina, where specialized cells convert it into electrical signals. Our brain then interprets these signals, and we perceive the object. The lens of our eye projects an upside-down image onto the retina, but our brain interprets the nerve signals to perceive the world as upright. The brain doesn't physically flip the image. Instead, it processes the incoming pattern of nerve impulses in a way that creates a correct, right-side-up 3D perception. It learns from a very young age to coordinate these inverted visual signals with information from our other senses, like balance and touch, to create a seamless, coherent perception of an upright world. In a totally dark room, there is no light source to reflect off anything, so the process of vision cannot begin. While our eyes have cells that help with low-light vision, rods. Rods and cones are the two types of photoreceptor cells in the eye's retina that are responsible for converting light into neural signals. Rods are highly sensitive and specialized for low-light, black and white, grayscale vision, while cones are less sensitive but enable color vision and sharp detail in bright light. A complete lack of light prevents them from functioning. The external eye structures. Parts of the external eye, lacrimal apparatus, includes the lacrimal glands that produce tears to lubricate and clean the eye. Eyelids protect the eye from foreign objects and spread tears over the surface. Conjunctiva, a thin transparent membrane that covers the sclera, white of the eye, and the inner surface of the eyelids. Extraocular or extrinsic eye muscles, a group of 6 muscles, superior rectus, inferior rectus, medial rectus, lateral rectus, superior oblique, and inferior oblique, that attach to the outside of the eyeball and control its movement. What is lacrimal apparatus? The lacrimal apparatus is our eye's tear system, a group of glands and ducts that create tears and drain them away. It includes the lacrimal glands, which produce tears for lubrication and protection, and the drainage system, punctum, canaliculi, lacrimal sac, and nasolacrimal duct that carries tears from the eye surface down to the nose. Lacrimal glands and apparatus. The lacrimal gland is located in the upper outer corner of each eye socket, orbit, sitting in a depression in the frontal bone called the lacrimal fossa. In the context of the lacrimal bone, a fossa is a shallow depression or a groove on its surface that houses the lacrimal sac. This fossa for the lacrimal sac is a crucial part of the tear drainage system, located on the medial wall of the orbit, and helps collect tears before they are channeled into the nasolacrimal duct to drain into the nasal cavity. The lacrimal fossa is found on the lacrimal bone at the front of the medial, inner wall of the eye socket. Tears are created in lacrimal glands in the upper outside corners of our eyes. They're mostly salt and water. Our eyes produce tears to protect themselves. They lubricate tissue like your conjunctiva and cornea. They also flush foreign materials, like allergens or dust, out of your eye. Our facial nerve controls the muscles in our face and eye that pump tears into and out of your eye. When we blink, tears are spread across the eye's surface to lubricate it, wash away debris, and replenish the tear film. The eyelid squeezes oil from the meibomian glands to stabilize the tear film, and the old tear film is then pushed toward the tear ducts in the inner corners of the eyes to drain into the nose. This action cleanses and renews the eye, preventing dryness and protecting it from irritants. Lacrimal gland innervation is primarily autonomic, with both parasympathetic and sympathetic fibers controlling tear secretion and gland function. However, the lacrimal nerve, a branch of the trigeminal nerve, provides sensory innervation. When the cornea or conjunctiva is irritated, a foreign object, bright light, or cold temperature, these sensory nerves are activated. The impulses travel to the brainstem, which then triggers the efferent autonomic pathways, especially parasympathetic, to stimulate tear production to wash away the irritant. This is an involuntary reflex. Our eyelids are a protective covering for our eyes, shielding them from outside objects and light. They also keep moisture in and help the surface of our eyes stay lubricated. From the outermost layer, superficial, to the innermost layer, deep, the main layers are skin and subcutaneous tissue. The skin of the eyelid is the thinnest on the body, with very little or no subcutaneous fat. Orbicularis oculi muscle. This muscle is responsible for closing the eyelid and blinking. It is innervated by the facial nerve, cranial nerve 7. Submuscular areolar tissue, a layer of loose connective tissue that lies beneath the orbicularis oculi muscle. Fibrous layer, tarsi and orbital septum. This layer provides the eyelid with its structural integrity and shape. The tarsal plates contain the meibomian glands, which secrete an oily substance to prevent the evaporation of tears. There are approximately 30 to 40 meibomian glands in the upper eyelid and 20 to 30 in the lower eyelid. These glands are responsible for producing the oily layer of the tear film, which helps prevent tears from evaporating too quickly. Eyelid retractors, muscles. These muscles are found in the posterior lamella and are responsible for elevating the eyelid, levator palpebri superioris, and Müller's muscle in the upper lid. The levator muscle provides the primary lifting force. Müller's muscle provides a smaller, continuous, involuntary contribution to keeping the eyelid open. Remember the mnemonic to memorize the layers of the eyelid. SOS calls frequently needed in large mountain corner. S for skin, the outermost layer. O for orbicularis muscle, a muscle located directly beneath the skin. S for septum, the orbital septum, a connective tissue that acts as a barrier to the orbit. F for fibrous layer, orbital fat, which is held back by the septum. L is for levator aponeurosis, a strong fibrous sheet that originates from the levator muscle. M is for Müller's muscle, a smooth muscle that is located beneath the levator aponeurosis and helps open the eye. The conjunctiva is a thin membrane found on the inner surface of the eyelids and the outer surface of the white part of the eye, sclera. The conjunctiva lines the inside of your eyelids and covers the white parts of your eyes. It can be divided into two main parts. White of the eye, sclera, and is continuous with the cornea at the limbus. The conjunctiva. The conjunctiva is a thin, clear membrane that covers the inside of the eyelids and the white part of the eyeball, the sclera. Lacrimal glands make the watery part of tears. That watery liquid combines with mucus made by conjunctiva and oil from meibomian glands to create tears. Its main functions are to protect the eye from foreign objects and infections, lubricate it with mucus and tears, and help maintain moisture. The conjunctiva is made of three parts. Palpebra conjunctiva, the lining of your eyelids. This is the specific part of the conjunctiva that lines the inside of the eyelids and is naturally a pinkish color. Bulbar conjunctiva, the covering over your eyeball that protects the white of your eye. This is the thin, transparent tissue that covers the front of the eyeball, from the edge of the cornea to where it meets the eyelids. It is not the white part itself, but what lies on top of it. Conjunctiva fornix, a piece that joins the palpebra and bulbar conjunctiva together where they meet. Pouch, where the conjunctiva folds back from the eyelid to the eyeball. It is thin and flexible to allow for movement of the eye. The word Fornix comes from Latin, meaning arch or vault. Its use expanded to anatomical structures that have an arch-like or vaulted shape, such as the fornix of the brain or the fornix of the eye. An infection of the tarsal gland, also known as the meibomian gland, can cause eyelid swelling, redness, pain, and a lump or nodule on the eyelid. The infection can lead to a condition called a chalazion, which is a slow-growing inflammatory lesion. Name the 6 extrinsic eye muscles. The 6 extrinsic eye muscles are the superior rectus, inferior rectus, medial rectus, lateral rectus, superior oblique, and inferior oblique muscles. These muscles are responsible for the movement of the eyeball, with the 4 rectus muscles and 2 oblique muscles enabling various types of eye movement. The word root rectus comes from Latin word rectus, which means straight or right. This Latin term, used in medical and anatomical contexts, describes muscles that are shaped or positioned in a straight line, such as the rectus abdominis. The root of oblique comes from the Latin word obliquus, meaning slanting or sideways like superior oblique. Superior rectus moves the eye upward. Inferior rectus moves the eye downward. Medial rectus moves the eye inward toward the nose. Lateral rectus moves the eye outward away from the nose. Superior oblique moves the eye downward and laterally. Inferior oblique moves the eye upward and laterally. Nerves that control extrinsic eye muscles. Oculomotor nerve, CN3, controls the medial rectus, superior rectus, inferior rectus, and inferior oblique muscles. Clue to remember. Oculomotor own 3 recuts and inferior oblique muscles. The 3 rectus are medial, superior, and an inferior rectus. Trochlear nerve, CN4, controls the superior oblique muscle. Clue to remember TOS shelf objects. TOS T stands for trochlear, SHU S stands for superior. Objects stand for oblique muscle. Abducens nerve, CN6, controls the lateral rectus muscle. If you have good memorization skill, then ignore the mnemonics. Clue to remember alter-labeled ruler. A is for abducens nerve, labeled is for lateral, ruler is for rectus muscle. The oculomotor nerve, CN3, innervates the intrinsic eye muscles, specifically the ciliary muscle and the sphincter pupillae, which are responsible for accommodation, focusing, and pupillary constriction. The main difference is that extrinsic muscles are located outside the eyeball, control its movement, and are voluntarily controlled, while intrinsic muscles are inside the eyeball, control the pupil size and lens shape, and are involuntary. Extrinsic muscles move the eye in its socket, while intrinsic muscles adjust the eye for focusing and light exposure. These actions, which are part of the autonomic nervous system, allow the pupil to adjust to light intensity and enable the eye to focus on objects at different distances. Pupil constriction, or miosis, muscle. Sphincter pupillae contracts to make the pupil smaller. To limits the amount of light entering the eye in bright conditions. Lens focusing, or accommodation, muscle. Ciliary muscle contracts to change the shape of the lens, to allows the eye to focus on near objects. That's all for today. Next video we will talk about internal eye anatomy,